Alright, I'm going to see what I can do with this piece. It's a heat treat. It's that swirly Georgia chert. Let's see. I heat treated it in this state, you know, kind of clunky. So it's kind of unpredictable, right? Kinda, yeah, very. Youch. That got really small really fast. I got some usable, a couple of usable flakes maybe. These are all clunky though. All right, let's see. Now, do I normally work on small pieces like this with a billet? No, I don't normally do that, but I'm trying to get good with the billet with all sizes of points. Usually I just go straight for the percussion, indirect percussion. But I want to get better with the billet. All right, so I can make an arrowhead out of that. Okay, my tools are kind of in chaos from the last video. The temperature is decreasing rapidly. Oh yeah. Luckily the space heater works well and I got it right next to me. So let's see. Yeah, I don't know exactly what. I'm just going to make a thin triangle and then we'll go from there. So pretty straightforward stuff. It is a heat treat, so it's behaving itself. Except for in the beginning where it had a lot of incipient cracks, or cracks that already were installed during the spalling process. I knew that piece was kind of dicey. I picked that one because that's the worst piece I have from that heat treat. From that whole week worth of heat treat. I've got a lot of pieces that I need to nap. Very similar in color and texture to this, but that was the worst one out of several pieces. And yeah, it turned out to be pretty bad as far as existing cracks. But this doesn't seem to have any existing cracks within it. Keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, if it had cracks in it, it probably would have already cracked really bad already, but it hasn't. I see some areas that might give us trouble in a little bit, like right there. This is not the easiest heat treat to work. It is a heat treat, but it's not easy to nap. I think I said in one of the previous videos that I'm going to reheat this stuff higher than 550. It's at 450 now, and it's still not good enough. Although some of this does nap well at 450, I want to be able to soften up these hard areas. It might be at the expense of the good areas. The good areas might become too soft. The only way to find out is to actually do it. Maybe I can tweak it to get a good balance. Now, it's not difficult to make a thick point out of this stuff. I'm debating whether or not to go really thin. I said I was going to make a thin triangle. I don't know. I napped some of this earlier in the week off camera. It's not that easy to get thin. But it's very, very colorful. It's beautiful stuff. Yeah, if I can get good at napping this, I think I will enjoy it a lot. So yeah, I went off on tangents a lot in the previous video, talking about stuff other than flint knapping. I might do that again in this video. Yep. We shall see. I think I sold all my flakes of butterscotch. All I have is this swirly multicolored chert, right? I don't see very many. I've got more jasper and some of this multicolor swirly, but I sold all my flakes of the butterscotch. Yeah. I'm surprised. I only have a few of them left. I was going to try to make something out of a nice clear butterscotch, but I don't have any. I've got, well, I can't say I don't have any. I've got a few pieces, but I'm saving them. I was thinking I would be able to work a bunch of those flakes, but I ended up selling them all. They sell very well. Alright, now this is not working. Let's see. It's tough stuff. Yeah, trying to get tough chert thin down is very difficult. Sometimes I have guys asking me any advice on how to make big blades out of trash chert. And I'm thinking how best to answer that question, because it's not going to be done. You won't be able to do it right with trash flint. You won't be able to get big blades that look like decent blades. You might get big flakes from trash flint, but you won't get decent looking blades. So how do I answer that without sounding like a total bummer, you know, party pooper? This guy gets all excited. He's got literally several tons of trash flint, and he wants some advice on how to make big blades out of it, presumably so he could make some money, because he just spent 2 weeks messing around with rocks when he could have been working overtime, right? How do we make up for that money? Sorry to say, the only way you're going to get big blades is if you grind them. Yeah. You can get celts out of it, you know, ground down celts. Ground pieces that you grind down. Makes some of that trash flint makes beautiful ground pieces. But you got to have stone grinding equipment. You know, if you have to ask the question, do you have any advice on making big blades out of this trash flint? If you're asking the question, automatically I know that you're too new to make anything out of it. But on top of that, you want to make big blades. You're too new to make anything out of it. And you want big blades. What can I tell you, right? So it's kind of like setting me up to answer with an answer you're not going to like. If I wanted to make someone look bad, I would ask them that question. Send them a picture of the worst flint possible and say, how do I make a big blade out of this? If I intentionally wanted to make someone look bad, because the only answer you're going to get is not a good one, that you're not going to like it, because the answer is going to be sorry. If you have to ask that question, or if you're asking that question, you're obviously too new to do anything with it. Now, experienced nappers, you know that trash flint, trying to make big blades out of trash flint, you're going to get a lot of step fractures. And if you're not getting step fractures, you're getting thick points. You can get large dance blades that are really, really thick out of trash flint with no step fractures. But we're talking 3-to-1 ratio, you know. I mean, they call that biconvex when it's almost as thick as it is wide. 3-to-1 is not too bad, but I've seen 2-to-1, and people just don't like those. They don't like the look of the thick ones. They like them if they're real, but a modern, really thick, big blade doesn't go over so well. So it's kind of like this stuff too. This stuff is beautiful, but try to get it thinned down. If you're new, you won't be able to do it. Yeah. This stuff is risky, very risky, and new guys don't have the risk management down yet. They're not experienced enough for the risk management. You can see it being done, and you know the potential, but there's risk management involved. and you don't have it as a new guy. Same with everybody. No one starts out being able to manage the risk because they don't know. They don't know the limit of the material. They don't know the limit of their skill. They don't know the limit of their tools. Why do you need to know the limit? Because you're pushing everything to the limit. Knapping, if you want thin points, which everybody does, means pushing it to the limit. And everyone wants narrow notching. That means pushing the notching to the very limit. Where is it? Yeah, I always get this disorganized after every knapping. I try to put it together before the video. I'm probably looking right at it and not seeing it. I'm missing my pad. And I'm probably looking right at it many times and not seeing it. Let's see. The bad thing is it's the same color as my drop cloth. I moved every tool. Yeah, it didn't stumble on it. I'm going to move every tool again. If I don't have my pad readily available, I'm going to have to pause it. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, I found the pad. Now, it was with one of my gloves. Now, the reason why I don't want to stop the video to look for stuff is because now I have to put them together with the video editor, which extends the upload time. I can't upload it right away. I gotta wait till it renders. I gotta attach the two pieces together, so that just means more time. And I'm probably gonna have to pause this video again because for some reason something's taking up all the memory on my camera. And I just deleted all the previous videos. So there's something else in there taking up space. I only have 49 minutes left. And I'm supposed to have 12 hours of video time. I don't know where all that space went. Probably forgot to empty the trash last time. Yeah, that's probably it. I can delete everything, but I don't empty the trash. That means it's still in there. So hopefully I'll be able to get this done fairly quickly. Anyway, when I look at the real true arrow points, they always are very, very small. Much smaller than I plan on making these, because I usually default to around 1 inch wide. Yeah, see, there you go. Because at one time I made a bunch of hunting points. So now and I suffered a lot trying to get the hunting points to be 1 inch wide because they kept getting more narrow than 1 inch. So I think I spent like 6 months doing nothing but hunting points and getting them 1 inch wide. So that's stuck in my brain. So now I default to about 1 inch wide. This is a little bit more, which is perfect because it gives me some room to work with the edge, to beef it up so I can run some more thinning flakes or whatever. But yeah, I did go through a stage where I thought I was going to make a bunch of hunting points for people. It turns out I did make a bunch of hunting points for people, but I burnt out like almost right away. After I got used to making points of this size, I used to notch them and try to get them as thin as possible. But after a while, I just stopped at this point. Just not even pointy. I would just stop like this and then sell them as hunting triangles. Yeah, and you do whatever you want with it. I didn't sharpen the edges very much. It was just like this. I'd reach this stage and then put it aside and get another piece, and that was it. So this would be the hunting point that I would sell. And I could make a dozen of these pretty fast in a couple days. I could make a dozen in a couple days with some losses. You know, you'd lose one every 4 to 6, depending on the quality of the stone. 1 out of every 4 you'd lose if it's bad stone. 1 out of every 6 or so if it's okay stone. So yeah, just a little bit of information there. So what is the size? Yeah, 2 inches by 1 inch. Then you can make them a 3 inch by 1 inch too. Make them longer if you want them heavier, because it's not that great to have it really wide. It tends to catch wind if it's too wide. These don't catch much wind at 1 inch wide, but once they start getting wider than that, you run the risk of having the arrow go in a weird way if it's windy. All right. I gotta focus on this step. It's difficult to thin from the base. Yeah. Why is it difficult? Because the flakes you think are going to work, you start taking it for granted, and you can pop the tip off just by the end shock. You know, you get too comfortable striking the base because it's working, and then you end up popping the tip off. Because, you know, it's working, you hit really, really hard. You start hitting harder and harder to get bigger and bigger flakes and get more and more excited, and all of a sudden, boop, the tip pops off. Or you hit you make a diving flake. Yeah. Now I just thin at random. It's probably better to set these thinning flakes up, but I just randomly do them. Wherever I see an opportunity. Very soon I'm going to need to take that glove off, because I'm starting to hit the glove. Yeah. When I start hitting the glove with the flaker, that's when I know the glove's getting in the way. Yeah, when the glove gets in the way, it just feels different. And you don't want it to feel different when you're trying to do some very precise hits. Okay. Those areas it should not be that bad to knap, but they're resisting. There we go. Let's just hope that stays cooperative. I can probably thin the rest with pressure, but when I say probably, that means that I won't be able to do it all with pressure. So I got a feeling that I'm not going to be able to do it with pressure, even though theoretically I could just thin the rest of this with pressure. Theoretically. Why do I dull almost the whole edge? Because I am going to have to pressure flake it eventually. So I might as well dull it while I'm there. While I'm here, dang it, that's the kind of thing I don't like. The incomplete crack. Got a weird crack right there. Okay, just little minute details. Yep. Yeah, just do the rest with pressure. Even though I can sharpen this up and then continue with indirect percussion, I can do that, but it's safer. Well, it's not safer, but it's just more controllable with pressure. I can still snap it. So as far as safety, that's what I mean. It's not any safer as far as snapping it goes. Just more controllable with pressure. Even though the flakes are not as long. Sometimes it's better just to have control rather than long blades. Long flakes, I mean. Controllable short ones rather than long risky ones. Yeah, I need to put another nail because it's getting too short. It's much more comfortable to knap with the spatula tool when it's longer than this. So yeah, just pressure flaking and letting the mind wander. I'm not trying to thin it yet. I just want to regularize it. If I see an opportunity to thin after I regularize it, I might get that indirect percussion flaker back out. Yeah, I can't do this with Obsidian flaking without gloves on, because it would already be digging into my hand. It is a little bit like right there, there's one. But if I was using Obsidian, I already have flakes in my fingers. So chert is a little bit easier on the skin when you're napping. Just in case you're wondering why I'm doing this without a glove. Chert is not as hazardous as the Obsidian when it comes to these little flakes. And why am I worried about that? Because I'm going to be napping some of this coming up. I don't know if I'm going to nap it today. But I might. I got a bunch of it here in Texas in storage, so I might wait and do a whole week's worth of Obsidian instead of trying to mix it in with some of this stuff. Yeah. Now, let's see. Good thing is this type of point has a lot of variation, so it doesn't really matter exactly what shape it is. Come on. Yeah, I have a bunch of these points stored, pictures of these points stored on my tablet. So all I need to do is break out my tablet and look at the pictures, and they're already to scale. I can put this actual chert on the tablet and see if I'm in the right size. I can make it, you know, an exact duplicate as far as size goes just by taking pictures and manipulating the pictures to the right scale. I used to draw them out. I used to draw out patterns for different styles of arrowheads, but now I can just use the phone or the tablet to take pictures or to take screenshots. And then work from the screenshot. Alright, so that's good enough. I'm not in the mood to do fancy stuff. Really fancy thin work. Gosh, this feels raw. Yep. It's not raw, but it's napping like it is raw. Sorry about that. When I concentrate, I tend to go down here like this, and I can't put the camera any closer to myself. I tend to nap down near my belly, and the camera can't get down there. I'm just crunching these notches in. Crunch and munch. Crunch and munch was something that we used to buy, right? It was a snack back in the day. Crunch and munch. What happened to crunch and munch? I don't know. Was that a thing, or is that just something that I have in my brain that doesn't relate to anything? Yeah, I start getting too adventurous, and there's too much of a possibility of breaking it. All right, so I'm not gonna push the issue. Modern knappers kind of like this type of point because it's very regular, very straight edges. Very straight edged. Sometimes fancy flaked. You can put parallel flakes on here and it looks good. It looks real. Some of these were made with parallel flakes. Yeah, the sides are very straight on these things. Sometimes it goes straight like this, and sometimes when it gets past the notch, this part goes straight down. You know, it's not pointy like this. These edges they change the direction and go straight down. But on this particular piece, I'm going to leave them wide. Leave the barbs wide, and not go any deeper with the side notches. If I had a longer tool, I would probably go just a little bit deeper with the side notches to match the base notch. But a lot of these were not notched very deeply, so I'm within range. Yeah, that's my excuse. Yeah, good enough. I could persnickety-fy this tip, but yeah. Still would like to get that out, or try to get that reduced, minimized, or whatever. There's metal marks on there. I'm going to ruin it if I do anymore. If I work on it anymore, I'm going to mess it up. Okay. I did run a flake that did make a difference, but I still have those metal marks right there. Oh well. Let's see. Still a good hunting point. Yeah. Yep, 1 inch by 2 inch. Typical hunting point. I don't have my grain scale, but these weigh about 40 to 60 grains each. This looks like about 50 grains, maybe. I'll weigh it during the auction. Yep. Okay. There it is.